Chapter 4. 13 years after Charles Moore's first voyage to the North Pacific Gyre, another catamaran sailed across the same trash vortex. Pulaski was built from 12,500 used water bottles. The bottle craft traveled through the gyre not as trash, but as part of a headline grabbing expedition with a message. Plastic is not the enemy, said the environmentalist and expedition leader David D. Rothschild. But it is our understanding of disposal and reuse that's to blame. Of the 9 million tons of plastic produced since 1950, just 2 billion tons are still in use. In 2017, the study found that information. That means the rest of the plastic litters Earth as trash. A large study of the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans and the Mediterranean Sea in 2014 confirmed that a great deal of this plastic pollution is in the ocean. This survey has shown that humans litter is present in all marine habitats, from beaches to the most remote and deepest part of the ocean. Most of the deep seas remains unexplored by humans, and these are the first visitors to many of these sites. But we were shocked to find that our rubbish has gotten there before us, said marine biologist Carrie Howell of England's Plymouth University. Could a vacuum cleaner suck up the plastic from the ocean surface the way a home vacuum cleaner cleans a carpet? Designers of a solar-powered floating vacuum think so. Others believe ocean currents will naturally push and gather plastic against plastic barriers, where it can be transported to land for recycling. But Australian ecologist Chris Wilcox worries that it would be as if you were vacuuming your living room, and I'm standing at the doorway with a bag of dust and a fan. You can constantly keep vacuuming, but you could never catch up. About 80% of the ocean's trash comes from land. How can it be prevented from slipping downstream? Scientists turn to nature for ideas. They marveled at nature's effective system of handling waste. A dead whale or giant redwood tree does not lie in the sea floor or forest floor for centuries. An army of small microscopic organisms turns waste into energy in a form of recycling. That means the food chain never ends. These decomposers break dead matter into nutrients and other chemicals, providing food for themselves and plenty to help new grass or phytoplankton grow. Scientists have discovered, often by accident, that among nature's army of decomposers, some can almost miraculously biodegrade plastic. Wax-loving worms enjoy munching on plastic bags. Mealworms willingly feast on plastic foam. During digestion, these animals secrete enzymes to break down molecular bonds. Even tough plastic water bottles can turn into a meal for bacteria. These microbes use enzymes to cut up long polymers into bite-sized sections. Scientists admire how, in a world full of plastic, they have found ways to turn them into food. If you put a bacteria in a situation where they've only got one food source to consume, over time, they will adapt to that, said microbiologist Enzo Pablo. I would not be surprised if samples of ocean plastic contained microbes that are happily growing on this material. Some scientists are not hopeful that biodegradation will solve the plastic problem. They wonder whether worm and bacteria appetites can keep up with the rapid production of plastic. They also wonder whether people will trust these new waste removal methods too much. The public thinks that biodegradability means if you throw it away, it will completely go away. But, said biochemist Professor Ramin Nair, they don't even know what go away means. Tracy Mincer, who studied plastic in the ocean at the Woods Hole Oceanograph Institution in Massachusetts, said he was impressed with the research on plastic eating worms, but wondered how it will help. When I think it through, I don't really know where it gets us. I don't see how microbes degrading plastic is any better than putting plastic bottles in a recycling bin so they can be melted down to make new ones. Simply finding new ways to recycle plastic cannot solve the problem. Even trying to gather and recycle plastic in the geysers is like mopping up a leaky tap without fixing the tap itself, said oceanographer Eric von Sebel. It's much better to do it as close to the source as possible, but it has a chance to interact with marine life. In a grim reminder that plastic is leaking beyond the subtropic, a 2017 study found that microplastics in Antarctic waters are a gyre-shredded collection from all over the world. That same year, the United Nations declared war on ocean plastic and asked countries to join the battle against single-use plastics. It is past time that we tackle the plastic problem that plagues our oceans. Plastic pollution is surfacing onto Indonesia beaches, settling onto the ocean floor at the North Pole, and rising through the food chain onto our dinner tables, said Eric Slom, UN Environment Director. We've stood by too long as the problem has gotten worse. It must stop. Plastic production is expected to double in the next decade and triple by 2015. Everyday people fight the war on plastic pollution. They drink from refillable water bottles and take cloth bags to fill at the grocery store. Many countries are getting on board by taxing plastic bags to encourage shoppers to use fewer of them. More than 200 US cities have banned plastic bags, and so have such countries as Kenya, China, Rwanda, and France. The UK, Australia, and Canada are moving towards banning the sale of products containing microbeads. And slowly, campaigns against plastic drinking straws are convincing some restaurants to ban them, or at least to offer one only if a customer requests it. But what if cleaning up the ocean does not require a war on plastic, but rather a war on litter? All of the stuff was in a human hand at one point or another, said ecologist Wilcox. The essence of the solution is to provide incentives for people not to throw this stuff away. It is the cheapest, simplest, and far most efficient solution to the problem. On a record-breaking solo voyage around the world in 2005, British sailor Alan MacArthur learned to waste nothing. Your boat is your entire world. And what you take with you when you leave is all you have. That's food, fuel, clothes, even toilet roll and toothpaste. That's what we do. And we leave, we manage it down to the last drop of diesel and the last packet of food. No experience in my whole life could have given me a better understanding of the definition of the word finite. What we have out there is all we have. There is no more, MacArthur said. Our global economy is no different. It's entirely dependent on finite material we only have once in the history of humanity. In 2010, she started a foundation to help change attitudes towards waste of many kinds. Like fellow sailor Moore, MacArthur admired the efficiency of the nature cycles. Life itself has existed for billions of years and has continuously adapted to use materials effectively. It's a complex system, but within it, there is no waste, she said. MacArthur and others who share her ideas believe that people must leave behind the throwaway living habits of the 1950s. Nature offers a solution. Plastic and other non living material can be part of an endless cycle of usefulness, like nature's food chains. In a throwaway culture, plastic travels a straight, quick path from petroleum to raw plastic to useful production to a useful product to trash can to landfill to the ocean. With a different approach, plastic could travel in a circular path in which it never becomes waste. Plastic becomes synonymous with cheap and worthless, when in fact, those chains of microcarbons ought to be regarded as among the most valuable, sustainable on the planet, wrote author Susan Frankel. Plastic has been celebrated for being adaptable, long lasting, and lightweight but strong. Finding ways to reuse it will benefit the world and its future generations. Recycling plastic bags, bottles, and foam packaging can be turned into playground equipment, park benches, clothing, carpeting, and car batteries. Recycling plastic bags can be used to create asphalt for paving city streets. Plastic provides materials for construction, metal equipment, cars, airplanes, 3D printing ink, and spacecrafts. If we could build an economy that would use this rather than use them up, we could build a future that really could work in the long term, said MacArthur. Then plastic would not end up floating uselessly in the ocean. Geologist Patricia Corcoran wondered whether in the future people will find plasticolometer buried in the soil and realize that it is a permanent symbol of humankind's pollution in our natural world. She wonders whether the planet will by then be smothered with out of control plastic waste, or will people have solved the problem of plastic pollution? As a start, she said, we can all pitch in and help through beach cleanup and not using as many plastic products. Maybe by raising awareness of how serious the problem is, people will start to say, okay, that's kind of disgusting. So maybe I should think twice before I buy a bunch of balloons or use a straw. Even small things can make a difference.